95 Live.
It's 9 o'clock. It's your call. Baroness Warsi. Warsi says religion in Britain is being neglected, undermined and attacked. Do you agree? The Conservative Cabinet Minister has warned the country is being taken over by militant secularists and we need to defend the role of religion in public life. Professor Richard Dawkins spoke to us this morning.
People are absolutely free to worship whatever God they want to, but don't impose it on everybody else. Don't have it as part of the institutions of the society.
Baroness Warsi says religion is being neglected, undermined and attacked. Do you agree? 0500 909 693. So let's look at what Baroness Warsi has said. She said British society is under threat from the rising tide of militant secularisation, reminiscent of totalitarian regimes. She's off to the Vatican and she's going to express her fear about the marginalisation of religion throughout Britain and Europe, saying faith needs a seat at the table in public life. We had hoped to speak to Baroness Warsi, but she's rushing hither and thither and to the airport and to the Vatican today for a meeting with the Pope, so that's not possible. We know what she's saying. We know lots of people agree with her. We know lots of people don't. Keith Porteous-Wood, Executive Director of the National Secular Society, does not agree with her. Good morning.
Good morning, Nicky.
And the Reverend Rose Hudson-Wilkin. Hello, Rose.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Vicar in Hackney in London, and chaplain to the House of Commons and all sorts of stuff. This is the perception some people have, Rose, of what is happening in this country. Do you agree with it?
Yes, I think it feels like a real perception at the moment, because there is all this hype about what happened last weekend and other things sort of moving around, people jumping up and down saying we can't have anybody of faith exercising that faith or speaking about it in the public arena. The reality is, faith is about who the person is. It's not a coat we put on occasionally, depending on what the weather looks like. And so, of course, we're going to take it with us into public life. That's the whole point of having faith, is that it informs who you are. And so I'm not quite sure that the sort of militancy that one sees creeping up, and intolerance, actually, great intolerance that we see coming up now.
Great intolerance has been a hallmark of, and still is, of many religions.
Well, it's not the religion that is intolerant. It's actually the people who exercises it that is intolerant. And we need to make that clear distinction, which is very sad, because I think even within the Christian faith you can get an intolerance from some people. I certainly do not agree with that. Well,
Baroness Warsi is on her way to the Vatican right now, and if you Google Vatican and apology, there's a long list. There's a long list of things that they have had to apologise for over the years. The reaction in the Holocaust, the Inquisition, the treatment of Galileo. It goes on and on and on. And some people come to the conclusion, I know you're not a Catholic, Rose, but some people come, but Protestantism over the years, as well. Some people come to the conclusion that they wonder if it is just the thought system that does that to people. Abu Qatada is in the news at the moment. There's a religious man.
So-called religious man. But you see,
he's a literalist.
They give religion a bad name.
Well,
they give religion a bad name. The reality is, you talk about the apologies that had to be made, and rightly so. But you know what? Christians or people of faith are ordinary human beings. They're mixed up. Like everybody else. No one person has the whatever you call it on one thing. It belongs to everybody.
Monopoly, that's the word you're looking for.
That's the word. Thank you.
Keith Porteous-Wood. What do you want to say?
Well, I think it's a bit rich, the secularists being accused of totalitarianism, if it's a reference to our going to the court to ask what the law was on cancelled prayers. And we did say that we were happy for there to be a period of silence during the meeting, or for the prayers before. If we actually want totalitarianism, that's what Baroness Warsi is going to find it when she lands in Rome, because I think probably highest on the list is the Pope for totalitarianism, the person who undermines democracy by forcing people who are Catholics, who are in public life, to follow his unpopular doctrine. And when I say unpopular because according to the polls during the Pope's visit, that something like 8 to 15% only of Catholics agreed with the line that the Vatican takes on these sensitive issues like sexual issues and beginning and end of life. And as far as the reduction, neglected Roman Catholicism or Christianity is concerned, Roman Catholic attendance has actually halved. I just looked at the figures, halved in the last 20 years, with hardly any young people going into the faith at all. And that's not linked to members of the arms of the members of the National Secular Society that are doing it. It's actually people walking away from religion. So I think actually the Conservative government are making a terrible, terrible mistake by suggesting let's get religion more back into public life. The population want less and less, and it'll do the very opposite. I think we want, with the less and less public religion in public life, we'll get more harmony, not less.
Okay, Nixon, hang on, Rose. We can't give you two a monopoly on this. Nixon, Wolverhampton, I'll be back with you. Nixon, okay. Wolverhampton, but listen and respond. Nick, hello, and Nathaniel in Birmingham, Vinny in Merseyside, Gus in London. Vinny,
hello.
I do say unto you, go first.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on. Why don't we just simply have a sound, sane, sensible debate between the Christian or the religious person and the non-religious and let the masses decide? It's such an overwhelming case, they'd be blown out the water. God has turned up. He's called Jesus Christ. It's obvious.
Right.
And if he's turned up and he's our maker and our redeemer, then we're ought to do what we say. Let me ask Richard Dawkins.
Would you like a theocracy?
Well, I just like a sensible debate so the masses could decide. I'd like to ask Richard Dawkins, give a dying man an answer in death, and he hasn't got one. And Christianity has got one because its founder is risen from the dead. Now, why won't you put that on your radio?
Because, there's some debate about that. Some of let's
debate it.
We're actually debating what Baroness Warsi has said. Well, actually, watch the big questions every Sunday. You'll get a bit of that. Gus in Ealing, what do you say to Vinny?
I say that Vinny's quite welcome to his religious beliefs. I don't share his religious beliefs. I don't have any religious beliefs, and I don't want people imposing their religious beliefs on me. I can't believe what I've heard from Baroness Warsi. This ruling in Bideford is merely telling people that they can't impose their religious beliefs on people who don't share them on council time with council taxpayers' money. And I think that's an extremely valid point of view. I'm not religious myself, but I don't, people want to practice religion, that's their choice in life.
Well, this is the feeling that, Rose, coming back to you, Rose, and we'll get Nathaniel and Nick in a minute. This is the feeling that some Christians and people of other religions have. They feel that they are being marginalised and pushed into a corner and made to feel foolish and made to look foolish and made to feel like they're oddballs.
No, that's something they're creating for themselves. Do you know this? That within the Bible, what we have is the saying that true religion is actually about caring for the widow and the orphans and the vulnerable in society. That is a good thing. Jesus didn't care much for people who were standing around shouting out from the street corner, preaching on the street corner. It was actually about the practical things of loving and caring for our neighbor. If you say you love God, whom you haven't seen, and how come you don't love your brother and sisters whom you can see and care about them? That's a good thing. And as we erode this from our society, as we boast and say, have you noticed how young people have fallen away? Look what some of them are getting up to. Look what we saw in our streets during the summer. So we take it away at our peril.
But in previous centuries, when everybody believed in God, there was no other explanation, we had tremendous social problems then as well.
Because people didn't follow the faith. It's not a theoretical thing that you stand and close your eyes about all the time.
Yeah.
It is actually about moving from that, having been moved from that to going out and actually responding to real needs and situations out there.
Okay, Jack in Wisbech, don't worry, I'll be with you, Keith Bodiswood and Nathaniel and Nick, but Jack, a former councillor, is it right you tried to have prayers removed from the agenda once from your council, Jack?
Yeah, I did. I used to be a member of the Borough Council of Kings Lynn and West Norfolk, and I tried to have prayers removed because I didn't think it was right that it should be treated as if it was the business of the council because these prayers were not taking place before the meeting, they were taking place within the meeting. I tried to have the prayers removed, but in the end came to the conclusion that the only way I could actually function on a council was to exclude myself from the first 2 minutes of the meeting when the prayers took place. The problem was that it meant that I also excluded myself from the other bits that the mayor did when they were on their feet saying prayers. For example, having a minute's silence to show their respects to the councillors who had died, that sort of thing.
Well, why didn't you just go with it? You know, like at school in assembly, and just, you know, twiddle your thumbs and look at the ceiling. Why
because I'm not an adolescent anymore, and I really think that it's time that people who are religious accepted that they should have to show as much respect for people who do not have religious belief as they expect from those of us who don't have any religious belief.
OK, Nathaniel in Birmingham. Tell Jack... Hello, Nathaniel.
Hi.
Tell Jack why they should be allowed to pray at a meeting, for example.
Well, I think, quite personally, well, first of all, I'm a Christian. I'm 29 years old. I've been a Christian for a long time now. But I think, first of all, religion is not... I don't think religion is under attack. I think it's Christianity that's under attack. I think a lot of people have respect for the Muslim faith. A lot of people have respect for the Buddhism faith.
I have respect for all faiths. It's got nothing to do with respect for faith.
Let me explain. As a Christian, we call ourselves a Christian nation, but I don't think that's correct. I think we've compromised to the point where it's beyond belief. But Christianity is not a religion. It's a way of life. It's faith. At the end of the day, it's just faith. It's the fact that, look, I believe in Christ Jesus. I believe he rose again. And if I want to pray...